Yes. Namaste, everyone. Welcome to Advaita Vedanta Satsang House, the ongoing sessions on Bhagavad Gita offered by Binduji from an Advaita perspective. So, if you want to listen to the replays of the earlier rooms so that you understand the context, you can access the replays in Clubhouse, or you can go to the link shared in the chat. One is a YouTube channel, which is Advaita Retold, where the talks are well cataloged in the earlier sessions. Alternatively, you can access the talks on Apple Podcasts or Spotify. There is also a link for a book which is written by Artemisia based on Bindoji's insights and discussions on Advaita, titled The Imaginary Door, which is available on Amazon. I'll be closing the chat and hand raising when Bindoji is offering the class, after which we will open up those channels for any questions. Thank you very much, Bindoji. Over to you.
Thank you, Prakash. Namaste and Hari Om to all of you. Invocations. Om Namo Brahmadibhyo Brahma Vidya Sampradaya Kartrubhyo Vamshirishibhyo Mahadbhyo Namo Gurubhyaha Shruti Smriti Purananam Alayam Karunalayam Namami Bhagavad Padam Shankaram Loka Shankaram Shankaram Shankaracharyam Keshavam Badarayanam Sutra Bhashikritau Vande Bhagavantau Punah Punah Ishvaro Gururatmeti Murtibeda Vibhagine Vyomavatyaptadehaya Sri Dakshinamurtaye Namaha. Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. The Gita Dhyana Shlokam. Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stunvanti Divyai Stavai Vedai Sangapadakramो Parishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga ध्यानावस्थिततद्गतेन मनसा पश्यन्ति यं योगिनो यस्यान्तं न विदुःसुरासुरगणाः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः देवाय तस्मै नमः ॐ We completed the 36th verse where the Jnanaplavena Tantirashyasi, by using the raft of knowledge, how one can cross over the ocean of samsara. A similar verse, but a different analogy, is used in the 37th one, where it is a Vedic metaphor of fire, Jnanagni, which reduces all karmas into ashes, where the emphasis is on the Jnana's destructive power, the mechanism by which karma is eliminated. Here it is disclosed through a most precisely chosen analogy in the chapter. Jnanam katam nashayati papam iti drishtantam uchyate. How knowledge destroys sin is being told with the help of the illustration of fire in the 37th verse. Yadha edhamsi samitaha agnir basmasat kurute arjuna Jnanagni sarvakarmani basmasat kurute tada. Yatha, just as yadamsi samitaha agnihi. Yadamsi samido agnihi. It is because of the compounding. Yadamsi means combustible material like firewood, fuel, etc. Aid, to kindle, to prosper, there are different meanings for that. Here it is for the kindle of the fire or the fuel. So Edamsi is the entire stock of firewood, because it's a plural word. Samidha, not samit, but samidha. Samidha is to kindle completely or to set fully ablaze or fully, without leaving anything, burning at full intensity, maximum, complete, or no reminder or residue is left. Whatever residue is ashes. So the qualifier samidha, which is fully blazing, is corresponding to jnana, which is fully awakened. The aparoksha anubhava. No partial paroksha jnana or intermittent knowledge or shastra jnana, but it has to be aparoksha anubhava. So samidagni, the fully blazing fire, is the full effect of the aparoksha anubhava in its completeness. Only in that completeness it reduces the karmas into ashes. Only fully awakened tattvajnani or tattvajnana, who is having the tattvajnana, who is convinced on the knowledge, aparoksha anubhava, can completely burn all karma. Basmasat kurute. Now the word basmasat, basma means ash. Sat is a suffix indicating the complete transformation into the qualified state of basma, ash. So basmasat means to reduce to ash completely. Completely reduced to ash, transformed entirely into ash, or nothing remaining but ash. So the precise basmasat is different from nashyati, which perishes, can leave some residue. Okshiyate, because I am taking out the verbs which have been used by Krishna earlier in different verses. Shiyate chasya karmani. So that is right. Implies the gradual reduction, not completion. Shiyate means to diminish stage by stage. Dahyate is another word, burned. Implies the burning process, but not necessarily the completeness of it. Whereas when we have the suffix sat, basmasat, it implies the complete irreversible transformation where the original is utterly destroyed and no residue capable of any regeneration or reminder or even remembering, make you remember of the once existed karmas. Therefore, this property, which is the basmasat, no regeneration or no reminder, is the decisive one where karma reduced by the jnanagni cannot regenerate, cannot produce punarjanma, cannot bind again, cannot generate new samskara, or cannot even say that it is remaining in some form or the other. Now, jnanagni sarva karmani basmasat kurute is the statement. So what is this jnanagni, which is the knowledge and knowledge fire, the two words? It is the fire of jnana, which can be meant that it is jnana, which is agni, or agni, that is jnana. Both way, it is the meaning is the same. It's a karmadharya compound. So, Jnanagni Daddha Karma was mentioned in the 19th verse. Also in the 27th verse, the Jnana Deepita, kindled by the Jnana. Whereas here, it receives explicit and developed treatment completely. Therefore, Jnanagni is not a metaphor but a ontological description where Jnana, the direct recognition of Atman as Brahman, which is, in other words, the Aparoksha Anubhava, Aham Brahmasmi, functions exactly as the fire functions with respect to karma. Just as a fire is not contaminated by the impure fuel it burns, by burning a garbage or a dead body, does not make fire impure. The Jnanagni is not contaminated by the karma it burns. The Atman, as the fire of Jnana, remains nirlipta, unstained, namam karmani limpanti, even while burning all accumulated karma. So the Jnanagni here is the Aparoksha Anubhava, which gives rise to the Aham Brahmasmi moment. Also, when we know that the self, which is my true nature, is the self in all, and that which we saw, Atmani Ato Mayi in the previous verse. Same, that has to be the final form of knowledge of Jnana. Then only you can say that Jnanagni has an access to the Sarva Karmani. So the Drishtanta shows, that example shows that Edamsi in plural, all pieces of wood or fire fuel. But when it have a qualifier like Sarva Karmani, not some karma, not even most karma, but all karma without reminder. There is no doer. Akarta, Nirlipta, Akarta. When he becomes a non-doer, because there is no karta or kartrutvam or the doership in Atma or Brahman. Therefore, Shankara identifies the three types of karma that constitute Sarva Karmani, which we are all familiar with. The Sanchita Karma, the Agami Karma, and the Prarabdha Karma, the three categories of karma. So when the Sarva Karmani includes Prarabdha also, there is a doubt which is coming from the Purvapakshi. It can understand Sanchita, because whatever has accumulated, the doership is not there, therefore it cannot burn. Agami will not happen because there is no more doer available to get tainted or accumulate karma. But what about the Prarabdha Karma? The Sanchita Agni burns directly and completely. It is eliminated as potential future doership. But for Prarabdha, the Jnanagni burns its binding power. But Prarabdha continues to drive the Jivan Mukta's body, which he is not identifying with himself, because his identification is with the Atma. But the body continues through its designated trajectory. But it is no more binding the Jivan Mukta, because he is identifying himself as the Atman and Brahman. So the Jivan Mukta experiences Prarabdha's fruits without bhoktrutva abhimana. He doesn't feel that it is, I am the one who is going through the prarabdha. He sees the body is going through the prarabdha. I am not the body. So the false sense of enjoyership as I am the body is not there to generate new karma in the Jivan Mukta. So when prarabdha is exhausted, that can happen only at the physical death. The Videha Mukti is complete. No new body is taken. No, na punarjanma, which was mentioned in the 9th verse. In the Brahma Sutra Bhashya, Shankaracharya has used a potter's wheel analogy. A potter's wheel continues spinning even after the pot is complete and it has been removed from the wheel. The wheel rotates, keeps on rotating. The potter has no more, interest in the rotation of the wheel, nor is he giving any effort for the wheel to be continuously spinning further. And when the momentum is over, it naturally exhausts and it stops rotating. Similarly, the Jivan Mukta's body continues through the prarabdha after the jnana has realized in him. But no new karma is added because he doesn't identify with the kartrutva of the body, of the activities of the body. Therefore, the prarabdha driven body spins out its momentum and stops when the body falls dead. That is the Videha Mukti. In the commentary, Shankaracharya uses the word Bhasmasat for the completeness of the karma bija. Not even the seeds of karma will remain. Therefore, the irreversibility that the ash cannot return back to the wood or the bija cannot sprout again. The Jnanagni burns the karma and therefore the karma cannot return for binding karma or binding the individual. Therefore, na punarmoham, which was mentioned in the 35th verse. And therefore, no delusion of the I am the karta. But it also has comprehensiveness of sarva karmani, which is every accumulation of karma without discrimination. But the non-contamination of the remaining is to be seen as that Agni which has accumulated vast papa, the body, that jnani who before he realized, and that when attains the tattva jnana does not have partially impure jnana. That is why it is mentioned as sarva karmani. The jnana burns the papa without, the jnana is not tainted by the papa of the karmas which the person has done before. Because it is the body in ignorance which was doing the kartrutva and the doership and the actions. But when the release happens with the knowledge that I am not the body, I am not the intellect, I am not the mind. So all the actions of the body, mind and intellect and the sense organs are not anymore owned or, afflicting the knower who knows the body as an object, not as the self himself, he himself. Therefore, not only the papa or the sin doesn't touch the knowledge, the knowledge is so powerful that the papas are seen as appearances. It has not really happened. the spontaneity of the burning of the fire, the fuel as fire. Same way, the aparoksha anubhava burns spontaneously all the karmas. Without the jnani applying an effort to each karma separately to be eradicated or burnt separately. It is comprehensive burning occurs by jnani's own nature as a self-luminous chaitanya, chit, that is the Atma Swarupa. It is just like the dreamer after having woken up. The waker do not author or take any responsibility of the events of the dream. He knows very clearly that the dream was a dream and it is not real. The same happens to the jnani in the aparoksha anubhava, that I am the self, the Atman, which is of Satchidananda Swarupa, of the nature of pure consciousness, existence and bliss. The body, which is being used for the empirical transaction, our body, mind, intellect and the senses, etc., are objects of the empirical world, which is substantiated or which is suspended or supported or the substratum of consciousness, which is I am consciousness. The appearance of the karma is not a reality, but it is mere appearance. This means not even the karma of a sadhana, deliberate cultivation for the Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, etc. Even that is not necessary after the jnana has risen. Because the jnanagni burns that also. The sadhana karma was necessary until the jnana realizes that I am not the karta. As the fuel is necessary until the fire is established, once the jnana is established, fully blazing fire of jnana, the fuel generating sadhana karmas has served its purpose and is itself burnt in the same fire where the sadhana materialized as the knowledge. Somewhere else, the example is used, there are the two pieces of wood, when rubbed each other, generates the fire, and that fire is the one which consumes the same two wood when the fire becomes ablaze fully. So the sparks which are coming are not enough. It has to be in the full blaze. That is why the Bhasmasat, that word is important. So in the things which are important to remember here in this verse is, there is no residual karma for a jnani or a jivan mukta. Even the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana sadhanas has completed its purpose and has self-consumed in the process of the realization. There is no more reminder left in the form of Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana or Upanishadic words. Another example which they use is that of a powder, which is known as Kataka Renu, a shell of a seed. When crushed into powder, you can sprinkle it on top of a pond or a well, where it will settle down, taking all the turbidity of the water, giving clear water on the top. So that you are adding a turbidity of the powder to remove the turbidity of the water, and the shell powder takes away the turbidity in the water along with it when it goes down and settles at the bottom, and you get clear water on the top. So these are some of the examples which are used in the Shastra for the purpose of the, the sadhana, the yajna, jnana yajna, even the jnana yajna. After having jnana yajna, the jnana yajna at the level of sadhana is a karma. That karma is also rectifies and has no residue left when the realization takes place. With 37, the blazing fire of jnana stands fully revealed. The description of Tattvajnana's action on Sarva Karmani. This verse answers every remaining anxiety about karma's power to bind. Because that was the biggest problem the Purva Mimamsaka, those ritualists of Veda, they were afraid. Even today, those who are into devotion, those who are into Shastra Adhyayana, those who are into, Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, all of them have a fear. What will happen if I stop this? That fear is out of place, but you will know it only when the realization takes place. So no quantity of karma of any of these type, however vast, no type of karma, however deeply embedded, or no accumulation of sin, however complete, can survive the aparoksha anubhava, which is in the form of samida jnanagni. All is reduced to ash, and from ash nothing grows. The mumukshu need not count their karma, weigh their papa, or calculate their unworthiness, etc. The fire does not calculate. It burns all. Sarva karmani. Bhasmasat kurute. Completely, spontaneously, irreversibly. Leaving the deathless, immortal Atma as the sole reminder. Yajnashishtamritas, that is the Yajnashishta, or the reminder of the Yajna of Jnana Yajna, is the Amrita Atma, immortal self. That was always already present beneath when the fuel of karma was getting burnt. It is in that Atma all these things appeared to be taking place, but not in reality. So hey Arjuna, yatha samidaha agni samyak buddha izadiptaha. O Arjuna, as the blazing fire, a well-lit fire, basmi bhavan kurute, reduces edamsi kashtani, these pieces of wood, basmasat, to ashes. Tada, in similarly, jnanagni, the fire of knowledge. Jnanameva agni, the knowledge itself is the fire. Basmasat kurute, reduces to ashes. Sarva karmani. Nirbija karoti ityartaha. It renders them seedless or ineffective. Nahi sakshadeva jnanagni karmani indanavat basmikartum saknoti. For the fire of knowledge itself cannot directly burn actions to ashes. Knowledge destroys the ignorance, and that very idea of agentship is eradicated, this in turn makes the actions impossible. Because only two opposing things can counteract. The standard example what is given is the snake and the mongoose, or the cat and the mouse. Like that, they have to be, born enemies. Karma and jnana are not enemies. But karma, which is the result of ignorance, there the ignorance is the enemy or the opposition for knowledge. So knowledge can only eradicate the ignorance. The ignorance that I am the doer. What I am doing, knowledge cannot attack. Even that I am doing is with knowledge, some knowledge. But that knowledge is contaminated with the ignorance that I am the doer. But when the knowledge that I am the immortal self, which is the non-doer, as the Atma, as the self, I am not the doer, neither have a doership nor the enjoyership. That knowledge, when it is realized, it removes the ignorance that I am the doer, I am the enjoyer, etc. So, tasmat samyak darshanam sarvakarmanam nirbijatve karanam ityavipraya. The idea implied is that the full enlightenment is the cause for making all actions important. From the force of the text, that is, if the body were to die just with the dawn of knowledge, imparting knowledge by the enlightened person would be impossible. There won't be any Guru Shishya. Thus, there would be no teacher to transmit the knowledge. Therefore, it follows that Samarthyad yena karmana shariram arabdam tad pravritta phalatvad ubabhogena eva kshiyate. That is, since the result of actions owing to which the present body has been born has already become effective, therefore, it gets exhausted only through experiencing it. Therefore, the body appears to be in action. But the ownership or the doership is not there by the jnani. Therefore, hence, Ada, Yani pravritta phalani jnanotpattehe prakritani tani eva sarvani bhasmasat kurute. The knowledge reduces to ashes only all those actions that were done in this life prior to the rise of knowledge. Why prior to the rise of knowledge? Because after rise of the knowledge, there is no doership. So there is no action which is done thereafter. Therefore, that is not becoming effective for the subsequent part. Jnana sahabhavini means cha. Also, those performed along with after the dawn of knowledge, that is also important. Since the body is continuing due to prarabdha, like the potter's wheel, the actions which are being done by the jnani due to the prakriti jair guna of the body. We know so that, the prakriti jai guna guneshu vartante. That guna the body will have, whether he is to be a teacher, whether he is to be a king, whether he is to be a mendicant, or whether he is a householder, it doesn't matter. Because the doership of any of these actions is not there in the realized person. But the body which has been created out of the prakriti guna, tattva rajas tamas, they will continue to exhibit their behavior. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas. So therefore, that is what is apparently being seen by from a jnani, but even those karmas after having realized the knowledge does not taint or touch the Tattvajnan or Jivan Mukta. Atita aneka janma kritanicha, and those that were done many past lives before the knowledge has realized and become his true self. Aham Atma. I am that Brahma. Aham Brahmasmi Anubhava. The 38th verse. Ata evam yatah evam ataha. Since this is so, therefore, now the nature of jnana is being exalted. Nahi jnanena sadirsham pavitram iha vidyate. Tat swayam yoga samsiddhaha kalen atmani vindati. A beautiful verse. Nahi jnanena sadirsham pavitram iha vidyate. This is often quoted, or you might have heard it many times. For indeed there exists here nothing equal to the jnana as the purifier. Tat swayam yoga samsiddhaha kalena atmani vindati. That, tat means the jnana. The one perfected through yoga finds of itself in time within the Atman. So what happens is that yoga samsiddhaha, one who has perfected the jnana yoga. Samsiddhaha means one who has perfected. Swayam atmani vindati. He finds that his nature is Atma. But when kalena, in time, doesn't mean that the moment he heard Shravana, he has become Shravana samakale eva jnanam, only for the most apt Tattvajnani. Because he has no, what you call, avidya, which was having like ajnana samshaya vipadya in him, stopping him from knowing what he heard. Therefore, it became instantaneously his anubhava, aparoksha anubhava. But for others, kalena, swayam, over a period of time when you do Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, the maturity will come by Chitta Shuddhi, Sattva Shuddhi, and when that time comes, kalena, swayam yoga siddhaha atmani vindati. He realizes that all these things till now was happening in me. The Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, the karma, the janma, punarjanma, all those things were appearances in me, in my consciousness or in my nature of awareness, which is the substract. So first is to establish jnana's supreme status in this verse, unequaled as pavitra. We will see these words in detail. The second part is the establishing that the arising, the spontaneous swayam, time ripened when the right time comes, or when the time is ripened. Kalena, Atmani, located in the Swarupa. Vindadi discovers by the Yoga Siddha, one who has perfected the Jnana Yajna. So, na vidyate does not exist. Atyanda abhava pratipadana. That is, this na vidyate Shankaracharya is establishing that the complete non-existence of any pavitra equal to jnana. The absoluteness of the negation is the verse's first philosophical gesture. It admits no qualification, no exception, no rival. The he is used to add on to that. Indeed, there is not, or the siddha sadhana, established fact. So nahi is indicating what is follows as prasiddha, when universally recognizable as tattvadarshi. This particle he transforms the declaration from a personal assertion to received shastriya truth. It is a truth declared by the Shastra. Jnanena is an instrumental form of the word jnana. Compared to knowledge, jnanena sadrisham means similar to, equal to jnana. Atma Vishayam Jnana. Therefore, the Atma Vishayam Jnanam is what nature? Knowledge whose object is Atman. Specifically, Brahma Atma Aikya Jnana. The direct knowledge of the identity of the self and the Brahman. It is not a Paroksha Jnana, inferential knowledge or textual knowledge or, any type of the pramas which are used for acquiring vritti jnana. But here is a aparoksha jnana, the immediate direct sakshatkara that aham brahmasmi, I am Brahman. The word sadrisham is equal, comparable, similar. So there is nothing equal to jnana. Nahi jnanena sadrisham. Tulyam is equivalent to or equal measure, which is used by Acharya in the Bhashya. So sadrisham is a strong comparative, not better than nor not equal to. The verse claims that there is nothing even approaches jnana in terms of pavitrata. Now the word pavitrata is a very important word. There is no pavitra that stands beside jnana as an equal. The sadrisham or samatulya, equality by weight, or implying that the comparison is not between near equals, but between jnana and everything else, with jnana standing alone in a category of its own. Therefore, the word pavitram, what does it mean? The word pavitram means purifier, that which is the most purifying. It's somewhat similar as pavanam, but that which purifies, that which removes impurity, mala. Pavitra in Sanskrit carries both senses simultaneously, that which is pure and that which purifies. Not only it is pure, it has the capacity to purify also. Therefore, the pavitra is not merely clean but actively cleansing. Shankaracharya reads pavitram as sarva mala nivartakam, the remover of all impurities. The mala means impurity. In question is the karma janya mala, born out of karma. All the impurities born, accumulated impurity of sakama karma. At the deepest level, the avidya mala, or in the form of ignorance itself. Shankaracharya argues that all the other pavitras, like tirtha, yajna, tapas, dana, they are all pavana, but not pavitra. They all remove karma mala to varying degrees, but leave the avidya, the ignorance mala untouched. Because none of them can counteract ignorance. Jnana alone removes the avidya mala at its root, which is why nothing equals pavitrata of jnana. Iha vidyate, here in this world, mean na vidyate. Iha na vidyate. There is nothing in this world, in the Vyavaharika domain, as Atyandam, which is the Navidyate is to show Atyanta Bhava, the absolute non-existence of anything other than Jnana. This is the timeless truth, not a historical or a contingent observation. At no time, in no place or no person does anything equal to Jnana, which is clean and cleansing. That Jnana, that knowledge, not some other knowledge, exactly that Brahma Atma Aikya Jnana or the Aparoksha Anubhava Jnana. Swayam, by itself, spontaneously by its own automatic means. Jiva does not produce Jnana through effort. Jnana arises by itself. The realization happens by itself when conditions are met. So, Swayameva natu anyena preritaha. Shankaracharya says that it rises by itself alone, not impelled by any other means or action. Therefore, the Swayam indicates the spontaneous and uncontrived arising of Jnana, and it is not manufactured by karma, tapas, swadhyaya, or shravana manana nididhyasana. But the Jnana reveals itself. Yeme vam tau brunute tena yesha labhyaha. That's, you must remember that here. Kathopanishad. It reveals by itself when the conditions are right. What are the conditions? When we do not have any ajnana, samshaya, viparya, the impurities of ignorance. That is avidya savarana. They are all called avidya savarana. Through the yoga samsiddhi, Shankaracharya connects the Swayam to the Advaitic teaching that Atman is Swayam Prakasha, self-luminous, and that Jnana, the recognition of Atma, therefore arises by itself. When occurring avarana is removed, when a lamp is covered with something, by a bucket or some cover, nobody can see light in the room. But the moment the bucket or the covering of the lamp is removed, the whole room is lit. And the light is not produced and at each corner of the room. The presence of the light illumines everything in that room. The light doesn't travel to each and every object to illuminate. No, in the presence of it, then the obstruction is removed. It is self-shining. It shows itself and it shows everything in it. That is the beauty of light. Same way, this jnanam what we are talking is not the knowledge which is in the mind or the intellect. This is the knowledge of the self, which is of the nature of Sat and Chit and Ananta, which is Swayam Prakasha. It is self-effulgent. You don't need another person to tell you that you are. you exist. But our knowledge about who we are, that can be under ignorance, thinking that we are the body, mind and intellect. But when that is removed by the Shravana Manana Nididhyasana and the maturity comes, Kalena Atmani Vindati, when it is right, the knowledge which is the Swarupa or the nature of Atma itself, which is Sat and Chit. No action is required for that to shine by itself. What it was prohibiting its own potency to illumine, even that was illumined by it. But the conditions were there, that attention was on the ignorant aspects. We never looked at ourselves. The Avrita Chakshu Amritatvamichan of Kathopanishad. When we turn our attention inward, the Atma, which is self-shining by itself, realizes itself. The sun seeing sun itself. Or there is no other example we can say that. The Suprakashata. And who achieves that? Yoga Samsiddhaha. One who has completely perfected through yoga. Who has fully matured through yoga sadhana. Yogena, karma yogena, samsiddhaha, shuddhaha, antakaranaha. One who has fully accomplished through karma yoga, whose antakarana is completely purified. The compound identifies the adhikarin or the eligibility of this person who is for jnana. Not anyone, but specifically one who has completed the karma yoga sadhana of non-doership to the point of antakarana shuddhi. Shankaracharya reads Yoga Samsiddha as Karma Yoga Paripakwa, means maturity attained through Karma Yoga. One fully ripened through Karma Yoga, in whom Raga Dvesha has been attenuated. Vishaya Trishna has been subsided. Swatviga Buddhi has been established, Chitta Shuddhi. And the Antakarana is Prasanna Chittatma, clear and tranquil. Like a polished mirror, ready to reflect. Atmajnana without distortion. The sum prefix intensifies the siddhaha. Not partial but completely. Kalena is when in its own proper time. That is when time is ripe. Not arbitrarily or indefinitely, but when the yoga samsiddhi has been fully achieved. Shankaracharya note the kalena does not mean jnana is delayed or uncertain. It means that the ripening of yoga samsiddhi takes place first. And when that ripening is complete, jnana arises swayam, by itself. At its swakale, in its own time. With the inevitability of a ripe fruit falling, like a fruit which is ripened. When will it fall? Time will tell. But it will fall when it is fully matured or ripened. Same way, the delay, it's not delay on the part of the falling. It is delay is on the part of the bandha, the connection between the fruit and the tree. Same way, the connection of our identification with our body as I or we as the body is the bandha which we are having. But when it is with the yoga samsiddhi, when it becomes fully matured, the fruit is automatically delivered. Shankaracharya notes somewhere else, one cannot force a mango to ripen by pulling it. Same way, Karma Yoga Sadhana is a process of ripening. Kalena points to the completion of that ripening. And Kalena, as a consolation since the sadhaka has not yet attained jnana, be patient. The yoga siddhi has to be accomplished. When that is accomplished, jnana will arise swayam in its own proper time. Where? Atmani. In the Atman, within oneself. It is not somewhere you have to go and attain it. So when it is a Atmani Vindate, it is the Pratyag Marga or the Paranchikani Vedaranatwayambu Tasmat Parang Pasyati Andarat. So that inward path of the mantra. Ascertaining that Indriya Mana Buddhi Atman hierarchy culminating in the Buddhehe Param, which was mentioned in the 3rd chapter 42nd verse. The jnana that is supreme, pavitra, is found not by going outward but going inward. Antarmukha drishti, inward. Avrta chakshu. Swayam prakasha, Atman, is inside. It is a lamp inside which is always there with us, because of which we are knowing everything. Atmani as also indicating the Swarupa, one's own Swarupa. The jnana is not a new acquisition but recognition what was always already with us all the time. Therefore, the Vindati, the word, is normally win. But here it will be to find, to discover, to obtain. Labhade means attain or achieve. Whereas one which is nityata, eternally with us, the yoga samsiddhi always finds jnana within the Atman in time. So Vindati as a sakshad anubhuti, direct experience, immediate apprehends. Therefore, Vindati is not an intellectual acquisition but a direct experiential discovery. The word Vindati, with it to find, as opposed to Janati, to know intellectually, or Shrunoti, to hear, points to Anubhava, direct experience, that is Vindati. The character of Atmajnana. It is found within and discovered in one's own Surupa, not learned from outside. So he indeed na vidyate. There is nothing but pavitram pavanam shuddhikaram, purifying, sanctifying. Iha means here, sadrisham tulyam, comparable. Jnanena, to knowledge. Yoga samsiddhaha, one who has become perfected. Samsiddhaha, samskritaha, yogatam apannaha, who has attained the fitness through yoga, the seeker after liberation who has become a samsiddhaha, purified and qualified. Yogena, karma yogena, samsiddhi yogena cha. Through the yoga of karma and the yoga of concentration. Kalena, during within the time, Vindati realizes or attains tat jnanam, that knowledge, swayameva, by himself. Mumukshuhu mahata atmani labade ityartaha. In his own heart, he achieved this. We will take the verse number 38. 39, I think. Yes, 39 tomorrow. Tomorrow is, yeah. We'll continue tomorrow, the 39th verse onwards. Which means that which knowledge is invariably attained by in sought after. That we'll be doing tomorrow. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Harihi Om. Thank you. Dhanyavad.
Thank you very much, Binduji. I opened the chat and hand raising. If you have any follow-up questions or discussions, please come up or put them in the chat.
Namaste, Venkat.
Binoji, there's a mention of in the Bhashya, the Samadhi Yoga mention, Karma Yoga and Samadhi Yoga for Yoga Samsiddhi. This is like, it's a direct indicator to follow the path of yoga. Seems like Shankaracharya is directly addressing it. I think he is aware of all of this.
Yes, he is very much aware of the yogas.
So this means it is apparent to follow this path. Is that apparent with this verse?
No. What Shankaracharya is very clear about one thing is that all sadhanas, whether it is the Vedic rituals, Karma Yoga, or, tapas, all the yajnas which has been mentioned, like, Deva Yajna, material Dravya Yajna, all of them have got its own reality, in its own, purpose. They all do give what you call results according to their merit. But the root problem is avidya, because of which the identification that we are Atma is not done by us, and we think we are the body, mind, intellect. Those will be people who will be thinking that, the vritti jnana, even the knowledge which is there in the intellect or the mind, is the knowledge which is being referred. Even that is an ignorance. So what ultimately he says is that Yoga Samsiddhi is the Karma Yoga and Yoga as a concentration, which are all part of it. But when it is being done, Kalena Atmani Vindati. It takes time. But Jnana is Pavitra because that is the only one which can remove the ignorance. And unless this Jnana happens, whatever route you take, it all takes time. But at the same time, the interest of the seeker should be to attain the Chitta Shuddhi and the Sattva Shuddhi, whereby Raga Dveshas are eliminated. And when Raga Dveshas are eliminated, whatever means you are taking it, you will have the doership aspect, that I am the doer of the actions, that will get nullified slowly. And the day will come when you know that I am really not the doer, I am the knower of the actions, and I am the non-doer, non-enjoyer of all activity. I am the self-effulgent Atma who is knowing everything. That is the time when the jnana is paripakva or matured.
I agree with you. This is exactly. I had to shut down Path of Gnana for 9 months completely and get into yoga last year, same time. This is one gap. I didn't have any direction, but I was sure that the Gnana is becoming simply intellectual understanding. So I had to shut down, get to the Samadhi Yoga.
Right.
So maybe that was the kind of seeker I am, or my own adhikari.
Yeah, no,
Uh,
you are a type of adhikari who had that. See, how, as per adhikara, the beauty of what Advaita says is that whatever may be our eligibility, adhikaratvam, opportunities for us will come according to that. And we will be guided by, because the self having observed itself and now caught it in the ignorance is wanting to get back to its originality. So the self is working one side to get back to itself. At the same time, we are not turning ourselves and to look inside. So it has to give methods with which we develop the avrita chakshu, or the inward turning attitude for knowing ourselves. That is, what you call unavoidable for all of us. So karma, the methodology, whether it is Shravana Manana Nididhyasana, yoga or karma yoga, whatever may be the method, that will come on our way or helping us towards getting to the final goal. So that is why Kalena Atmani Vindade, when he says that in the appropriate time, depending upon the adhikari, if he's an apt and 100%, eligible, Sravana Samagale Eva Jnana, he will listen the moment he hears Tattvamasi, he realizes. But others, it takes time, because the question will come. Is it right? What is that? What is Tattva means? What is the Brahma means? How can it be the thing? Everything is Brahman. How will it? All these questions which comes are the development from the point of view of the ignorance which is asking these questions. We are thinking that it is all outside. When these questions are asking, our attention is outside comparison. Comparing anything which we can compare with the similarity of from our memory or the past accumulation of knowledge. But all these thing is happening with that light of knowledge which is our true nature. But we do not turn inward and look at it. Only when this maturity happens and we realize that there is nothing outside, it is my own nature. This is what the mantra of the Mundaka Upanishad also says. Karmachitan nirvedamayat nastya kritakritena. So that is the situation what will ultimately lead us to that. Atma is not a product of action. Akritakritena. That is the time when we realize that what I am doing for Atma is also making me feel like I am a karta. Whether it is yoga, dhyana, Daiva Karma Yoga, whatever may be that. All of them will be, that is the time when we realize that to attain myself, I don't have to do anything. The Kritakrityata. Having done everything and found nothing is getting me to me, we realize that nothing needs to be done specifically because I am already me. But what is me, that if the doubt is still there in the mind, then that means you are not turning inward and looking, you are still looking outward. That is the way in which we have to understand.
uh, Thanks for this verse. Is really it's a huge assurance, actually, the assertive assurance by Krishna.
Yes.
Nothing else to be, no, you don't need any other assurance. That's very, very clear. Thanks, Manoj.
Thank you, Venkat. Okay, Prakash, we'll meet tomorrow.
Okay, Binduji. Yeah, sure. So thanks everyone for coming for this session. So we will continue tomorrow at 8:30 p.m. IST. And as always, Venkatji, thank you for giving your insights. And always grateful to Binduji for this meticulous Sravana Manana of Bhagavad Gita. Over to you to close the room, Binduji.
Thank you, Prakash. Thank you, Venkat. And thank you all for listening. We will continue our journey into Bhagavad Gita tomorrow. See you all tomorrow. Good night. Hari Om.
Yeah, good night.